Liverpool Fan in Japan.
Hello YouTube, Liverpool Fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki Man Si, and I'm with my main man, Andy Cantwell. How are we doing today, my man?
Very well, Si. How are you?
Good. Loving it.
Good.
Enjoying life. What could be better than reigning and defending Premier League Champions LFC, up the shiny one, right?
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. We haven't even lifted the bloody thing yet, but it's been amazing.
I know. And speaking of which, to build up until that moment, what would you like to see between now and the end of the season?
Between now and the end of the season, I'd love for us to, well, two things. I'd love for us to get 90 plus points, just as a nice little, just to put ourselves, like, regardless of what people think, because opinion's been divided on the quality of the league, which I happen to think has been one of the best, in terms of quality that I've seen in a long time, in terms of all basically everyone bar the bottom three is kind of a tricky game, and United, barring them as well. Everyone else is kind of a tricky game. So I'd love for us to get just to that, 90 plus points. I would also like to see, now correct me if I'm wrong, you might know this better than me. Does Chiesa need 4 more appearances to get a Premier League medal?
So that's the thing, right? So officially, everyone who plays 5 games is entitled to a medal, but they've changed the system in the way that the manager of the club is given 40 medals to distribute how they see fit. So Harvey Elliott last time, even though he didn't get the appearances, he was given one by Klopp. So he is going to be a 2-time Premier League winner. But yeah, they can distribute them how they want, and I'm sure they'll give Chiesa one as well.
Okay, that's actually a huge relief, because I was like, well, he's going to have to play every game, and he hasn't really gotten much of a look in. I was like, that was my main priority when I thought, he needs 4 more appearances. but that's great, and I mean, Slot surely has to give him. Well, if he's got 40 medals, is that just for the staff, or just for the squad, or does that include staff as well?
Yeah, it's anyone they want to distribute it to. So Carol the dinner lady, or hopefully they give me a new one. That'd be nice, but I'm sure we don't quite.
I'll take one.
We're not up there on the list yet.
I mean, if it means Chiesa's not getting one, I'll let it go. But if he's looking for a few more to give out, I'll take one.
Exactly.
What about you? What are you looking to see between now and then?
Yeah, so I love personal records, because I was like this when I was playing hockey for Cambridge South as well. So Mo Salah breaking all the records, right? So he's one off, I think, from Andy Cole and Alan Shearer for the goal contributions. But obviously, 4 games left. He's surely going to get 2 to break the records. But knowing him, he won't just want to break the record. He wants to smash the record. So if he can get 3 goals and 2 assists or something, right up there. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Then you'd see even more definition on his abs, right? Just for next season when he comes into pre-training, he'll be like.
He is absolutely. I mean, he's just getting more shredded as the years go on. But yeah, he'll want to smash that, and it'll almost be irrelevant, the results. Like he'll want his goal. He'll want his post goal clarity, as we say on the channel, where as soon as he scores, it if we could just focus on, let's get Salah his goal within the first 10 or 15 minutes of a game, and we'll all concentrate our efforts on that, and then he'll be firing out Travella passes for everyone after that. But just get him his goal so he can satiate his hunger, and then we should win 4 or 5-0 every game. So
absolutely. I'm so glad you said
if I was the manager,
post goal clarity and not something else. But very, very good. My mind is what I'm saying. It's a long
no, someone coined it on the channel, I have to say, but I've taken it wholesale. It just makes sense.
Absolutely. But, and the team set up, they're all friends with Salah. Szoboszlai will obviously pass the buck and give Salah his chances. So I'm sure we're happy as well. In terms of clarity as well. So when you watch football content online on YouTube, be it Liverpool channels or other channels, what are your kind of go-tos? What do you like watching? What do you absolutely despise? You switch off, that you just are not a fan of at all?
Do you know what? I really like your channel, of course. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here.
Likewise.
It actually gives me and we didn't set this up just so I would compliment your channel, but it just gives me such a digestible, I basically get all of most of my Liverpool kind of tactics or reasons for this or that and formations and selections from you. Good. So I'm like, great
to hear.
But what I don't like, and I think our channels are good at not doing this, is kind of clickbaity, rage baiting. Just you see it so often. Of just, now I get it, and fair enough, in a watch along situation, maybe you'll lose the head a little bit, but just the whole kind of, I don't know. It seems to be just geared because obviously you get more engagement if you're negative,
Sure.
but then if you're positive, it's like, oh well, they're positive about everything. They're an FSG stooge or whatever it is. So I suppose that like it's more the kind of just rage baiting I see, and like not to name names, but I'll name one. But I see like Rio Ferdinand. Now, it's not necessarily for a YouTube channel, but you see him coming up on my Twitter, which is toxic anyway. But it's just whatever is the flavor of the week, he'll either be against it or whatever will get the most engagement. And it's just I feel like I can spot that a mile away.
Trying to be relevant. Yeah,
it's just get that engagement in. Now, like good luck to them, but it's not the sort of thing that I would watch. I wouldn't necessarily go against, barring now as I'm doing right now. But in general, I just wouldn't watch it. But that's the sort of stuff that I tend to avoid.
Not for good reason,
particularly with like football YouTube. I mean, I don't know if you're the same, but that's the sort of stuff that I'm like, no.
Absolutely. And alongside that, kind of clickbaity, it's when they have this maybe controversial opinion or popular opinion where maybe, but they only say it and they don't give the reasoning or there's no real logic behind it, right? So there's this one channel, and I'm not going to name names, it is a Liverpool channel, and he was insistent that, look, Trent's got to play 6 this match. Klopp's going to start Trent at 6 this match. And then like, okay, but why? What's the reasoning behind it? He's never done it before. He's never done it so far. He actually has never done it. Neither has Slot. Only a manager of the level of Gareth Southgate has done it. Why? He's got he's got to start 6. Trent.
It's like just because I've said it, so it has to happen. Well, that's what I think why YouTube has now changed. As you're probably aware, it used to be all about like click through rate, and which they prioritize are people clicking on your video, how many people who've seen it pop up on their feed, how many people have clicked it. Whereas now they've redone it because so many people have just kind of cheated into that, where now, as you probably know, they prioritize watch time. So it's like, okay, did they click on it and then leave within 5 seconds and be like, oh, this isn't what he said it was? Whereas watch time is obviously like, oh, this person has delivered on what they said this video is about. So I think YouTube are definitely making steps to try and avoid that. But yeah, if someone just says it and you're just kind of like, okay, why?
Exactly. Because, you can put any title there, you can put any picture. Like for a period, people were just shoving Mr. Beast's thumbnail everywhere, even though the title is Quacky Duck or
something. Nothing to do with him, but if they mention Mr. Beast in the video, I could just say Mo Salah starting centre back next game? Question mark. It's like, technically, like, you know what I mean? I mean, he would never, as he recently said. I thought it was interesting because he was saying about how at the start of the season, Slot wanted him to be more defensive, and he kind of said, "I can, but I won't get the same numbers as I'm getting now." So
in your best interest to relieve my defensive duties.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's worked out well, but I'm with you on that.
Exactly. And this might be a bit of a spicy one, but who's your kind of guilty pleasure player, whether Premier League or elsewhere? Not a Liverpool player, but someone you just like, you're fond of. They might be quality, they might have a quirk around them. Who do you like watching?
Do you know? I'm very tunnel vision when it comes to Liverpool. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I like. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation because I'm terrible at this. Like Brian Mbueno from from Brentford.
Powerhouse.
I did really like Matoma. He's kind of gone a bit off the boil for Brighton. It's more kind of clubs. I'm trying to think. I don't think they'll take anyone from Arsenal. I definitely wouldn't take anyone from United. Wouldn't take anyone. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne in his day was great, and there's one of the few City players that I actually liked. But I honestly, I'm kind of stumped a bit on that. I don't know. Like in terms of for you, if you had someone that you would think I would take him, who would you go with?
So this is a name, obviously we'll never get this guy because he's on like a 10-year contract now or something with the Todd Bowley kind of regime. But Cole Palmer, there's just something about him. He's just such an average lad. I like my chippy chips. Oh yeah, all right. He doesn't strike you as like, wow, he literally could be De Bruyne level in the fact that he can take over a game. He's got the techers, the skills. When he was on form, every single week he was doing something, bloody amazing. He was out of this world.
What is that like? he's gone so off but in terms of like the numbers anyway, because was just you could not move for a Cole Palmer goal involvement, and it seems like the last 4 months I haven't seen him. Has he gotten a goal or an assist?
Badly off form, no, not at all. And
it's crazy.
He missed a penalty. His form is absolutely gone down. But I think it's tied into Nicholas Jackson up front, because Jackson gave him the space to operate by really being a mobile, fluid striker who would take the brunt of it. Kind of like Drogba-esque, Anelka-esque, leading the line, whereas Cole Palmer could pick up the pieces in between the lines as well. But in the absence of him, I think Cole Palmer found a space hard to find. And now that his form's dropped, the confidence, the trickery, the first touch, natural instincts, right, rather than thinking about it too much. And I think he's just off form. But
it's funny that one. I will say I love how unmedia trained he is. Where like he'll be asked a question, like no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, next question. Like that sort of stuff. But yeah, so I like that sort of thing. But like it's interesting with players like that who go off the boil. Like same with, like you could say with Nunez or with anyone. How much of it is just mental as well? Like the mental game. Like obviously, like you're saying, tactically and positionally, it does have an impact. But in terms of like that will knock into, if you don't score them for a few weeks or you're not involved as much.
Yeah.
Then it kind of gets in your head, and then like I'm becoming way more fascinated with like, because like someone like Nunez, not to bring it back to Nunez, which I tend to do, all roads lead back to Nunez for me, but it's like, because you can see, I'm looking at highlights of his previous seasons and stuff, and I'm like, it's all there, you know what I mean? If you can just and with any player who you've seen hit like a huge vein of form and then they just go off the boil, you could say with Torres back in the day and things like that, where it's just, what is that?
It's kind of like psychological, right? Psychological in a way. So like some players are really, I'm sure Nunez, being a hot-blooded Uruguayan, is affected by social media and the outside perception of him, but also just the outside perception, the perception of his coaches, whether he feels valued, whether he feels utilized properly. Now, one thing we can't badger him for is his work rate and his ethic, right? He's always tried to run everything. But it's when the work effort dies down, because Slot intimated in 1 week or one match, he said, this is not the Nunez we usually see pressing whatever. Then there's a real problem, right? Emotional problem or a disconnect. And he's almost like trying to do too hard, being too forceful on himself. And that does give you an extra added pressure. Like some players, when they're in a flow state, they have natural game, everything just works. It looks great. But some players have to really grind the gears and work their way out of that slump. They have to, and he doesn't get the game time to do it. He doesn't get that hand over the shoulder.
And you know what?
So
he doesn't get the game time, and I think he's in the wrong position. And I don't like the whole thing of like, it's like, well, if you're good enough, you're good enough, and if you're not, like I get that as well. But I think he's just made for the left wing. Unfortunately, we have Diaz and Big Gak in the left as well. But he's like, I mean, he's so good when he's got space in front of him.
Yeah.
And I every time I see him stuck in that centre forward, it does not look, maybe, and I don't know if he played that position in his previous club, but he strikes me as always been most effective on the wide, on either
coming in from the left hand side in that kind of left inside forward space in the same way that Salah is on the right hand side, and he would really have benefited from like a Firmino linking and
I see
connecting.
It seems and it seems like it goes at odds with how he wants to play. Every time I'm looking at a player and we're in the final third, and I'm always like, Nunez is just stuck in no man's land, where it's like, okay, well, you can't pass the ball to him there because he can't be found. And then when it eventually comes in and it's cut back, he just seems to be in the wrong spot. And now that's all him again. That's his decision making and all this.
Yeah.
But I would love to see something like that. I know I'm going off on a tangent here about Nunez again, but I would love to see something like that, just to see the effect. I don't know if we're going to get to see it really, because by all accounts he's likely to be out the door in the summer. But I just think that's so unfortunate that we've won the league and he's had his worst season.
It's a big what if. And I think like he had opportunity in Klopp's reign in that position, and he sometimes was quite effective. But what I find with Slot system is not suited for a number 9 to thrive it's suited
Yeah.
for Salah to pull the strings and dominate, whether he's a primary playmaker or shooter. And you see that with
Yeah.
Jota, you see that with Luis
Yeah.
Diaz, you see that with Nunez. Nobody is looking outstanding in the 9 role because we're not funneling everything through it like a Erling Haaland, for example. There's the midfield is just so far away from the 9 that literally it's so obvious for the other team to block the routes from Salah and out wide into the 9 position. And they take his space anyway. They all come inside. They come inside. So where's he meant to go? He's got to go outside to give them space to come inside. So no 9 is going to look good.
It is striking, and like one of my failed preseason predictions was I said Jota is going to have the season of his life.
I love it.
Didn't quite work out that way, but like it's testament to the system as well. That's like, okay, well, see, it's not just Nunez or Jota also isn't thriving. Now, granted, he hasn't had a lot of game time, but I just think that's a position that either I'm sure Slot will address in terms of the transfer market and find someone that he wants in that spot, but at the minute it's not working.
And that's the kind of thing, right? This is a really interesting kind of tactical preview for next season, in the way that even Feyenoord fans, and I think a lot of people identified it early, this is not the Slot machine, this is not the Slot system, this is literally Slot's been dealt a hand, a bloody quality hand, a quality Klopp hand over hand, and he's played it with the tactics that suit his hand. But now he's got the ideal summer, having seen the players play, having seen them, what they do in pressure situations, seen them in training. He can now mold the team in his image, and not necessarily an old image, the image he wants for next season, which could include opening up and facilitating the number 9, right? And if he does that, you're going to have a link number 9 or a number 10 that unlocks the number 9 or that kind of thing. So it's going to be super exciting, how he shapes it. And whether Nunez or Jota or Diaz or whoever the new striker is in that system, it's going to be fascinating. And he could go a few different ways tactically. And this is what I want to ask you as well. I think he will change tactics drastically for next season. What would you like to see? Would you like to see the old 4-3-3 Firmino dropping 2 inside forwards? Would you like to see a number 9 at Haaland and trying to funnel him through, squeeze him through? Or what kind of system would you like to see next season?
I do like the 4-3-3. I kind of sometimes felt in the past that we've been kind of... I would have liked to have seen a bit of variation, maybe a 4-2-3-1 or something like that. I don't know if the 4-3-3 works. I mean, we've won the league, so I'm catching myself as I'm about to say. But I think we could be even better with a bit of a tweak. Now, the tactical side is not my forte at all. But just from what I'm seeing with how our number 9, it's like playing with 10 men at times when we have our number 9 just in no man's land,
floating.
So if he's going to keep that, I definitely want someone. I don't think it works with Diaz there. I don't think it works, unfortunately, with Nunez there. And Jota, I'm not 100%. I seen a thing today of, Jota might actually be staying, where there was reports of him likely to be going. So I don't know, but I'm definitely open to a new system. Like, I kind of just trust him, to be honest. Like, I'm not. I certainly would not be coming on here saying he has to play 4-4-2 or whatever. I just trust him, and I don't have a particular preference in terms of the system, to be honest. I just want the players we have to fit the system, whatever that system is. I don't know if you'd have any more actual insight on it, but I'm not as fussed, to be honest.
So my kind of interpretation of the way Slot likes to dominate football, right, especially opening up teams a low block, is he likes to absolutely crowd the 10 space, like the magical number 10 playmaking area, right, where there's Salah coming in, where there's a playmaker, and Szoboszlai is effective there off the ball because he closes down their 6 and they play from 6 from Rodri or whoever from 6 position. But if we overload the 10 position, now imagining the team for next season, Connor Bradley, instead of overlapping, has done so much underlapping to get into the 10th position, right, inside of Salah. And Milos Kerkez is such a fine footballer, and he does the underlap as well into that 10th position. Yeah. And if you imagine that a Szoboszlai is changed for maybe an Eberechi Eze or someone from a Crystal Palace, right? So you have a creative player there. You've literally got like 3 people roaming into that 10th position, and that will give the forward all the ammunition, all the firepower, all the lanes that they would need to be unlocked. So I would really like to see him be creative and getting the player getting many players in that position, because that's where you see the beautiful through ball, the little rainbow flick, the little dink over the top or whatever. And then even a Nunez or Jota or whoever will get their chances to shine, right? Because
that's it. Like, we've got the quality there, and I do like the idea of, I know exactly what you mean with Connor Bradley. The amount of times you see Connor Bradley just running right down the center of the pitch. And it's almost like every time I see it and they give it to him, it seems like we score from it. It's like, just give me the ball. And he'll go play a lovely 1-2 and it'll go in, or he'll play the final pass in. And Kirkes, I really like the look of. He's very confident in himself as well, which I was surprised. I didn't expect his personality to be like that. Like, I see his Instagram or whatever, and he's just like, I am inevitable. Like, it's that sort. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy backed himself.
He does.
But yeah, like, I think if we're in that position, we definitely have the quality to do it. And I get what you're saying about Szoboszlai. I suppose I may be slightly, like, I can't say I'm disappointed with Szoboszlai because I love him to bits, but the Szoboszlai of the first 6 weeks, first 2 months when we signed him, I was like, holy shit! Sorry for cursing this, but I was like, my God, like, this guy can do everything. He like his running, even the way he beat players and the shot on him. I was like, oh my God! Now he seems totally averse to shooting. But but like, we've so much like this thing about Slot, and a friend of mine was saying to me a few weeks ago. It's like, it sounds weird to say because we're winning the league, but like, if anything, Slot will be more judged on his second season because he'll have the chance to imprint his style and his team, and it'll be more his team. I kind of just like this season, even though me and you predicted it, just gonna throw it out there.
Number one.
But it's almost like a bonus, you know what I mean? Where it wasn't, most people didn't see it coming, but it's just really testament to how the tune that he's able to get out of a team that's not even his. And I think it's also testament to even though, if you remember at the start of the season, there was a bit of a narrative of like, where is Slot? Hasn't the season started? Where is he? But behind the scenes, he's looking at training sessions, like recordings of training sessions, and so when he got there, he was very well informed, and that's obviously, that results in the great start, and that causes momentum, and then one thing leads to another. So it's again one of these things that, like, I'm too stupid to understand it. So I am loving what I'm seeing, and I 100% trust the process. Like, I think with what he's got behind him, if he's got money behind him, like, even better, I trust that too. I just,
of course, he's a football fanatic. He's an absolute madman for football. Right, his life is football. He's away from his family. He's in an apartment in one of the old Klopp, Gerrard, Brendan Rodgers' house, and he's like, he's just a lad. He feels like
he is a lad.
The way he talks, like, it's not just to the media as well. Like, you imagine him, how he's going to explain these theories to the players in a way that they can understand, right? Because, look, to be fair, some players are intelligent. You have your McAllister or whoever, and then some are proper thickos as well. So, you're going to have to get through to him, but one way or another. But you get with Slot that he can get through to anybody, because even from like Trent's words and Jones's words, right? He's like, Slot's told me things and showed me specific things, move my angle or arc when I'm facing up a man in specific ways. He is so keen on those little details and making them the sum of the parts. So even on occasion where we look a little bit lackadaisical in the match, because he wants that bit of rest for the duration of the season so that he can pick that first 11 time and time again to perform. So he's not burning them out, right? And then when we need a goal, when we're a goal behind, when time is running out, then you see unleashing the brakes and we're going full throttle and the subs are coming on. Elliot's unleashed, for example. So he knows what he's doing.
That's it. And he knows what he's doing, and he can get that point across to players who he had nothing to do with in terms of getting. But I think you're right. Like, even so then when he gets more players, his players, like, I feel like he'll be, granted everyone is different in how you manage them, but when he starts bringing his players in, I think it'll just go up a level again. And like, you could tell even with the current squad, I was a bit surprised at how emphatic they were about how much they enjoyed working with him. I think Curtis Jones was one of the first where he was like, absolutely. Love it. Even like Salah was like, how much, has the manager helped? And he was like, so much. And, like a few of these, like, kind of, which you would think, like, with this transition season, or, after we've had so many years of Klopp, that it'd be a little bit, take a while to warm to him. But I think the fact that he's come in and not tried to be like Klopp, or he's not tried to be like, scrap all that, we're doing it my way now, or like, he's just been slowly just turning the ship just slightly that
evolution way of what was there already.
Yeah, exactly. Evolution, not revolution. So it's I just think that'll continue now.
It is. Yeah, I also think he had a real free shot at the season, right? Because Liverpool back their managers, they trust the process. They decided only to sign Mamashvili, who's coming in next season, and Chiesa for cheap as a backup to Salah. Next season, there's the AFCON as well, African Cup of Nations. So there's that in considerations as well. And two things that really strike me about this season and why I think Arne Slot was absolutely perfect is that even though he didn't utilize the bench and the subs that much, everyone seems happy. Elliot wants to stay. Chiesa seems super, super happy. You never hear anything from Kwanzaa or Gomez. Endo wanted to fight for his place as well. Kelleher got his time in the sun as well. Nobody's complaining. Nobody's, bitching or moaning behind the scenes. So that shows camaraderie behind the scenes. And then there's another thing that I think a lot of people forgot coming into this transfer window, right? This summer transfer window. And everyone's like, what players might we sign for Slot? Michael Edwards is back, right? The guy who managed to sell Benteke, who managed to sell Mamadou Sakho, who sold everyone, sold Ryan Brewster for inflated fees, right? Who swapped Andy Robertson for Kevin Stewart, and that kind of thing. Same amount of fees. We are going to bankroll Slot to the nth degree because anyone who wants to come in for our players, they are not getting a good deal and they're not getting them for cheap, So,
that's it. And then plus the players coming in, we have just as if being Liverpool wouldn't be enough. You now have the idea of because it could have very well been, okay, we've won the league, but Salah's gone. If he decided to go, Verge is gone and Trent is gone. What sort of team am I coming into? But having those benchmarks, it's like having Salah and Van Dijk here for another 2 years, I think is so important because for any player coming in, with the backroom staff and the data-driven sort of decisions that they make, with Slot, who is just works well with this and works well with the front team, and the fact that you have Van Dijk and Salah not only on the pitch but off the pitch, and letting people know, oh no, this is the standard.
That's it.
How many players have you seen say I've seen Salah, it's in the gym every day, and I thought, well, I think McAllister said something similar. So I thought, what, I have to step up my own, physical stuff. And I think the importance of having these guys there, because I was saying it on a video a few weeks ago, that's how clubs eventually go from being great to good to bad, is when the standards just year by year dip and dip. So the fact that we've got those standards for another 2 years, as opposed on top of the players and all this sort of stuff, I think we're just set up for such a good, we're set up so well now that anyone that comes in will just get, I get the impression, will just get elevated even more,
Agreed. You've got to set the standards of professionalism, right? Sustained error success. That's what I'm calling this, because Milner, Henderson are now in the change room. Van Dijk, Alisson, Endo, Robertson, international captains, Soboslai, Conor Bradley as well, right? You've got so many leaders and characters.
Team full of captains.
It is. And they have the aura of these are the legends, but they set the mood and set the standard. I heard something really, really interesting from Emmanuel Adebayor, right? Adebayor, Togo, very colourful, checkered past. When he was loaned to Real Madrid, he was like, first day, I'm going to make the best impression. I'm coming in 2 hours ahead of the due date, the due time to start the meeting, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, who's that? Someone beat me there. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, who's there an hour before he was. So he's like, I'm coming in 2 hours earlier. No, Ronaldo's here 3 hours, and he comes in every day 3 hours earlier. And we got Cristiano Ronaldo setting the standard, right? It's that kind of thing, isn't it? You're like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got it.
And you just think, okay, well, I have to raise my game. I have to raise to that level now. And I think that we're already going to identify good players, and I just think they're coming into a system that will just make them better again. So I think very promising.
And speaking of players coming in, right, there's two things that's going to be very, very attractive here. So one is the direct competition with our rivals for particular players, like Real Madrid are now monitoring Milos Kerkez, for example, right? This is going to be a buyer's market because there's so many options that would be amazing. Let's say, for example, Milos Kerkez did go elsewhere. Anthony Robinson is basically top 10 players this season. He's at Fulham, so he should be attainable. He's American, so it'd suit FSG's commercial, prerogative and all that kind of thing. He's like a left-sided Kyle Walker. He's a really good footballer, takes a mean penalty. But then you look everywhere. You look at strikers. How many strikers of different types? João Pedro, Cunha, Ekitike, Goy Koresh. People talk about Isaac. There's so much variety in here that even if you get one or two of these types, like even wingers, Semenyo, Embuemo, Gordon, whoever, Kudos.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to end up with a bad choice here. I think you're going to end up with something quality.
Yeah, I think the it's always seems to have worked out very well for us when we've got other Premier League players in. Like the gold mine for us has been a club that isn't performing great, but has a couple of standout stars.
Southampton,
and that
Southampton.
seems Southampton. Where it's just like, yeah, we'll have them. So what are you going to do? Say no to us? We're Liverpool. And I think hopefully, I mean, someone like Robinson or something like that would be attainable from something like that, or like Kirkes or something like that, where you're just, they don't want to necessarily up and move abroad, but they want to up their game, play in the Champions League, compete for the title and stuff like that. So those sort of players, I would be more confident now than I would have been maybe last year about us getting them. The dream is players like Isak, which by all accounts that I'm hearing, is just a little bit too far,
unattainable.
150. Now, by all accounts, we'll have some money to spend, but I don't know if that. And I'll be honest, I haven't been wowed by any of the other players up front that I've seen linked. Joe Pedro maybe could, but I don't know if he'd be the one that we should be going for if we're looking to up a level again. So I don't know. Like, you would probably know these players a little bit better than me, but from what I've seen, I've been a bit, I don't know, not wowed. Like you can easily be wowed by highlight reels and stuff like that.
Sure.
But there's an account I follow on Twitter. I think they're called 1947 Productions.
Oh yeah, with the highlight reels.
And a bunch of players' last 40 shots, which I found super useful because you're getting, and he had some of Liverpool's, and you're like, he is quality, isn't he, Diaz? But where you had other players like who Liverpool have been linked with, and I'm like, don't really like. I mean, that's no better than what we currently have, So now maybe it's the last 40 games. That could be like the last 10 games, and they're having a bit of a dip. So there's always stuff to that, but I haven't seen that where I'm like, barring Isak, where I'm like, I 100% want him. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Is there anyone you've seen that you thought like he would be a great fit?
Yeah, so ready-made players, right? You're looking at Premier League proven it at the highest caliber and differential, compared to what Liverpool have already. If you're looking in the striker positions, it's very, very hard. And even Isak, right? He does have kind of niggling muscle injuries as well. So it's a pretty big ask at that price point to put all your eggs in one basket for that kind of thing. If you're looking in the continent, there are certain players that very unattainable though, but Julian Alvarez would be amazing. But that
would be a huge step up,
He's Atletico Madrid's star man at the moment, so I don't see any reason why they would let him go. You could go in a different direction. If you go for like Victor Gyökeres, for example, at Sporting, the issue is you're going to have to change the system to funnel everything through him like a Haaland, because he's a volume shooter like Nunez. And there's no harm in having that, right? If your team is creating those volumes, then it's in the name. It's a volume shooter. They're going to put them away, right? And you'll win the game. But it's a change of system away from playmaking from the wings. It's that 10 strike system to feed him through and again and again.
And that's a gamble as well. Like our system works for us. So
exactly. So
to bring someone in and change the system, it may or may not work.
Yeah. And I feel as though Arne Slot will be looking to distribute the goals. Right? You already have an ultimate goal scorer in the team in Mo Salah. Or you're going to need to supplement that. And I don't think there is a Bobby Firmino out there or Sadio Mane, at the same caliber level. But Brian Embuemo, right, will score 10 goals. Semenyo will probably score 10 goals. Acuna or João Pedro score 15 thereabouts. But they offer other things. They offer direct pace. They offer penetration. They offer delivery. Like Andy Gordon will offer delivery, for example, even if he doesn't get the goal amounts. Acuna would link up the play, an extra man in midfield. They'd offer extra attributes to raise the amount of goals in the whole team as a collective. And that's what I think we're probably going for, as opposed to Man City, funnel everything through Haaland, he'll get his 40 goals or whatever.
We're not looking for just a stats man. It's like, look at his goals per games ratio and things like that. I do think that pace should be considered as well. I think we could do with a bit more pace in the team.
Penetration as well, directness.
Directness, and I would love just a few other options. Like Harvey Elliott's quite good at that. He's quite direct, and every time he comes on, he seems to have a goal contribution in some way, or smash off the bar or something like that, or scoring. But yeah, I like the option of having, okay, this isn't quite working. We need someone who's a bit more. Do you know, like, this is a terrible example, but I remember when things wouldn't be quite working, and back when, remember when Oxlade-Chamberlain was like really hitting form, where you're like, oh, he's finally found himself here. And he can just go, and he's just so forward driven and not that kind of thing that's crept into football a bit, where it's like, turn back, pass back, let's build it, which is kind of the slot system in a way, where it's the risk to reward is not as great, so you're kind of picking your moments and things like that. But I would like a nice, just a runner, you know what I mean? A nice direct option. I really wanted, I don't know if we were ever in the running of signing him, but I'm going to butcher the pronunciation as well. Kvaratskhelia.
Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah. And it was like, for years I wanted him, and I seen we were half linked with him before he made his move there last year, the year before, and I couldn't believe that there wasn't a bigger uproar about this guy. And like, so I don't know, I haven't tracked him as much as others, but someone like that, I'm like, oh, we could get someone like that in. Skillful. He's so skillful as well. So just someone like that would be great. Just someone like that, world-class player would be great.
And that's the thing, right? It's how Slot wants to interpret the offensive nature of it. Because imagine from the base of midfield, right? You have the offensive passer like an Angelo Stiller who just pass forward, break the lines. But you have an offensive runner like a Carlos Baleba who just run past players, who just literally leave them for dead in the middle of the field, right? So and I think he is going to go for that versatile athletic midfielder who can play all roles, not just a six. And then if you look on the wings, you could have your skillful playmaker, right? Like an Eberechi Eze, Kudos, or a Michael Olise at Bayern Munich, right? They're not necessarily ultra fast, but they got skills, the tech skills to pay the bills. Or you could go for the direct powerhouse who just Brian Bremwo, who goes right through you. Your Anthony Gordon, who tries to run at you with 1-2s, gets in by like Haru Matoma, that penetrates in the quickest route to goal, right? Doesn't mess around. Pedro Neto
goes from A to B.
Yeah, exactly. Goes from A to B, exactly, but in an effective way. So how he interprets getting from A to B, getting the offensive play to goal, whether it's a pass, whether it's a runner, whether it's a direct runner, whether it's a skillful, dribbly, jinky, like a Nico Williams, for example, at Bilbao.
Yeah.
It'll be so interesting to see what Slot interprets. But look, he said it time and time again in interviews. This summer, the players that we're going for, they're going to be more attracted to Liverpool because we're champions. It's going to be a big summer. There's going to be changes, whatever. I'm looking forward to how many signings do you think will be in and out? What number would you put minimum?
Oh, in and out. Okay. You would hope at least 3, and that's probably being a little bit conservative. I think out. Realistically, I think Kelleher will leave, even though I really don't want him to. But I get it. Kelleher will be gone. Trent will be gone, I think. Nunez probably. That's 3 out. So luckily, it doesn't seem to be, unless I'm mistaken, where it's like we're only going to buy players based on the funds that we get for outgoings. I hope it's not that case, because we haven't really spent in the last few windows, so there should be money there, and by all accounts there is money there. I'm trying to think who else would go. I don't think there's anyone. I was reading a thing today where it was like, I thought maybe would Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa's the only one where I'd be like, he's the only player that I could, if you were to ask me which player in the team is the least happiest, like I would just think based on that game week 1 halftime hooking, and everyone's raving about Kanate, and whereas Kwanzaa had a great season last year, so he might be the only one to be like this. Oh, sorry, I don't occur. This guy, Arne Slot, but I don't know. 3, I suppose, that's the long way of me saying I think there'd be 3 out at least, and at least 3 in.
At least 3 out, 3 in. I'm going to go a bit braver. I'm going to say at least 5 will be signed. 5 will be signed.
Brilliant.
Because I think...
I hope you're right.
I sincerely hope it's at least 5. But like, they may not all be for the first team, right? I'm also counting in those, now's the chance to strike at those wonder kids at the younger age range, right? Engamoha coming in, Trey and Yoni coming in. Slot's going to supplement this with all the Dutch wonder kids that we've never heard of before.
Yeah.
The total footballer in the ranks. But I think we might, for financial fair play reasons, get rid of some of the homegrown lads for better or for worse, for like Owen Beck, Tyler Morton, Calvin Ramsey, Ben Dokes, 50-50 when he can get crossing and shooting into his repertoire because he's a dribbling monster.
He's got pace.
Yeah, he's got directness and pace. Of the front line, I do think that 2 out of 4 will leave. So between Jota, Luis Diaz, Nunez, and Chiesa, I think 2 will go for the fact that Diaz, coming to 28 years old, the most value you can ever get out of him. If he signs a new deal, he stays. If he doesn't sign a new deal, he's gone. I don't think he'll go into the season without signing a new deal. Jota, can you rely on him physically? And there's interest from Saudi Arabia. Nunez will want to, be a starter, want to get the love of manager playing week in, week out, love of the fans constantly backing him. And Chiesa is the what if, but AFCON next year. So he might be retained as a right wing long-term option there. And then, with that in mind, 5, I'm going to say 5 in and a minimum of 8. I'm going to say 8 out, but that's including releases, releases of
like for this.
But
then also is like, I don't know how he's really performed this year, but like Bajcetic should be back as well, right?
It's interesting. He'll be back.
So, I mean, I don't know how he's developed like this year, but he was the big thing a couple of years ago, whereas like, wow, he's like the complete midfielder almost. So I don't know how much of his progress is still on that upward trajectory or if he's kind of leveled out a little bit. But I'd be interested to see if he stays or goes.
He's a talent. He's a talent for sure. I think there's pros and cons with him. He's a great passer, great composure, cheeky chappy. He's grown a bit as well. He's a little bit slow and carrying the ball. I wouldn't say carrying the ball is his strength. Now, if anything this season's shown me about Slot is he wants the midfielders to be able to carry the ball, especially the 2 in the middle, right? So McAllister and Gravenberch. They've been able to carry the ball laterally up and down rather than releasing it. Bajcetic isn't a ball carrier, he's a ball player. But he is defensively reliable. He can play centre back. He can play full back. He can play defensive midfield as well. So he would probably be an option, but he lacks the pace and the carrying ability. So it'd be interesting to see if Slot rates him.
I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, so final thoughts for next season. Will any rivals even give us a challenge? Will Chelsea be resurgent? Will Man United do anything? Will Tottenham be Spursy? Or will it be Arsenal, City and Liverpool all again? And 1, 2, 3.
I don't think United or Spurs or anything to worry about. I'd be really interested to see how City get on with, just obviously this year was a massive dip for them. And I'd love it to be the start of their decline. I would love it. Granted, they've got money to burn, so you throw enough money, as they say, if you throw enough mud at a wall, some of it will stick.
And the guilty charges as well, if they're proven guilty. So
I mean, the fact that they were signing like Marmouche and a few of these other players, I'm like, they've won it, haven't they? I was like, they've won it. So I don't know, but that'd be great if they got relegated or something. That'd be brilliant. And Arsenal, I would love. I mean, I think that they won't be better than they are this year. Next year, I think I could say that. I don't know how much of that is me really hoping, because I really, really love seeing Arsenal not do well. And I'm normally not that sort of fan, but like Arsenal just really irritate me. And I think they irritate the majority, of the footballing world. Funny, I'm going to name drop here, but I was only talking with Clive Tilsley there the other day, because he posted something on his story about some Arsenal fans sent him a thing of like, your suboptimal commentary, clearly not giving Arsenal their dues. And I was like, I'm thinking like any negativity that I've had in a sketch or anything like that has always been from Arsenal. But that's not the question you asked. But I honestly, I mean, I think they'll be there. I think it'll be Arsenal, City, possibly Chelsea will get their stuff together a bit more. I don't want to be too cocky, but I think we're best set up to push on further than anyone else, you know.
So 1, 2, 3. What's your predictions for next season?
Oh, sorry. So Liverpool first, and I will go Arsenal, and I will go City.
Yeah, same
To
for
be honest, I know that's kind of boring. I was going to say Chelsea, but probably City. What about you?
Yeah, seems very, very sensible in that regard. Can Guardiola turn around the fortunes? Andrea Cambiasso, left back, quality midfielder. Depends who they sign, really. But Arsenal are pretty solid. The striker market for their particular style, Benjamin Sesko, probably the most likely up there. Maybe Ekitike as well, an option.
Yeah.
Linked to Liverpool as well. Arsenal, I don't know. They might lose Saliba as well if Real Madrid really, really push, but they might not play that big one. I'm going to go Liverpool, City, Arsenal. There's my top 3.
Okay.
Champion.
We'll come back in a year and revisit it. Actually, we did this last year. We should do another video where we look back at our predictions. Actually,
that would be awesome.
We should have I should have been better prepared, and I should have actually looked at it for this one. But,
all good.
We'll do it maybe in another, or maybe at the end of the season this year. We'll look back and see how we got on, because we definitely did a pre-season prediction show.
We did
at the start of the season, so we should do that.
I think so. Absolutely agreed. Look, Andy, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been quality banter. I'm sure everyone's going to join it. Everyone, subscribe to Andy Cantwell if you haven't already. I'm sure you're already subscribed.
Hey.
Top man. Good stuff. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace. Take care.